Hello, it's DuckFading07 and this is another zoo video. This time we are playing Eldritch Evolution Zoo. So let me explain you what this deck is all about. Uh, so you maybe saw the Melira Zoo scam on my channel. I made two videos of that deck, and the deck is based around Melira and Safi. Um, just scamming Solitude's Furies into play, but also working great with General Ferrous Rockerick. And this list is quite a bit similar because we're still playing Melira, we're still playing Safi, we still have Elementals, so we still have option to do that stuff. But this is entirely different strategy, and this deck is also mid-range, but it can also has infinite combo in it. So let me just explain you. The infinite combo includes Falconrat Aristocrat, and this guy says it's a 4/1 flyer with haste. It says sacrifice a creature, it gets indestructible end of turn. If that creature was a human, put a counter on Aristocrat. Okay, so as you maybe some of you know, Renegade Railer and Extraction Specialist with Safi um, get you infinite triggers with the sec effect, and it's usually played with Goblin Bombardment, stuff like that. But playing Goblin Bombardment in this deck would just be uh, not good enough, and you know that when you draw Goblin Bombardment, it would be so bad because the deck doesn't have that much synergy with Goblin Bombardment for it to be really good. So, kind of having to play some useless sec effect to infinite combo with this, it's actually not really good. So, we really need a creature payoff, which we can find with the Eldritch Evolution. Um, that can combo off infinitely with the Safi and Relier, and that is Falconrat Aristocrat. You can put infinite counters on the Relier and just a second Relier and Safi, and put infinite counters on him and attack the same turn because he has haste and he has flying, so it is very evasive creature. It also can get it also gets indestructible by in the process by sacking the Relier or Specialist. Okay, so basically, the fastest you can do this combo is turn 4. If you play turn 2 Safi, turn 2 your Safi can die, it doesn't matter. You can play Relier on turn 3, bring back Safi, and the Safi then protects the Relier, so opponent has to go for the Safi kill. When opponent tries to go for the Safi kill, you already know from the Zeus cam that's a very tricky position for your opponents because at that point you can scam Solitude in case if they have some creatures in play. So it can be really double sword for your opponents trying to bolt Safi, and they often lose card from their hand, and you still get a creature on the field and exile one of their creatures if they have it. So it's a good trade-off. And if they don't do it, you get you're on tap with Relier and Safi on the field. And if you have Eldritch Evolution or Aristocrat in your hand, you can just start a combo of first Sex Safi to Relier or Specialist, then Eldritch Evolution on the Relier, and then Relier comes back, brings back Safi, and you find Aristocrat, then Sacred Safi on Relier again, and put repeat the loop and put infinite counters on Aristocrat and attack on the same turn for infinite damage in the air. Okay, so that's the combo. But also, to be honest, this Aristocrat guy just fits very well in the Zoo shell, and it's a 4/1 flying haster which can get it indestructible, and kind of in a lot of situations people are trying to kill this Aristocrat with Fury, and then I play Solitude in response, pitchcast Solitude, exile their Fury, sacrifice Solitude on Aristocrat ability, give it indestructible. That really can be tricky for opponents to deal with it, and you also have Safi and Melira in your hand in your deck to protect it, and other creatures also just protected by being there. It can always sacrifice a creature to get indestructible, so it's good against damage-based spells. But also, Eldritch Evolution has another combo in this deck, obviously. So we are a deck that is that is able to put a Solitude turn 2 into play, scam it into in the field, kill two of your opponent's creatures very early, and then you can untap on turn 3, cast Eldritch Evolution, sacrifice your Solitude, and put Atraxa on the field. Okay, and then Atraxa gets in the field and completely refills your hand with 4 or 5 cards, usually 4, but sometimes 5. Um, Also, Eldritch Evolution Atraxa is a combo with Scion of Draco. As Scion of Draco is 12 mana, you can sacrifice it to find Atraxa on as early as turn 3, which can be uh, pretty hard for some decks to deal with. So, in past, this deck was played in just a typical zoo deck, just splashing 4 Eldritch Evolutions and 1 Progenitus, something like that. But this is a deck completely built around a card Eldritch Evolution. This is just a deck based on this card, and playing Safi and Melira in this deck make it just so much better because this is still a counterspell and spell pierce format, and when you sacrifice your Scion on Eldritch Evolution, and Scion dies and you get your evolution pierced, it's definitely a very much feel bad moment, and you mostly lose game after that. But in this deck, you have 4 Safi in the deck and 1 Melira, and you can sacrifice Safi, target Scion before casting Eldritch Evolution, then cast Eldritch Evolution, and the Scion comes back immediately, and Sun comes back, and if opponent spell pierce the evolution, you just lose Safi, but you don't really lose it because you're playing 4 Rareliers and 1 Extraction Specialist, which always likes to have 1 Safi in the graveyard. So when you can always bring it back. So it doesn't really matter much. You don't lose too much, and that is really important. So I tried Eldritch Evolution tech before. I tried it with I played the Emrakul with 13 mana. I played Progenitus. I mean, that's fine against a lot of matchups that decks that tap out. But when you're playing against those blue-red decks like Murktide, Breach decks, that really just MTGO is full of them. And if you play a lot against those decks and they play 2, 3 spell pierces, counter spells, and just it feels so bad to get this pierced or Flusterstorm. So yeah, it's when you sacrifice your Scion in those previous versions, you would mostly lose the game, but that is not the case in this variant, and that's why this deck has, in my opinion, more legs than any previous list. So I have this list made for a long time already, ever since Atraxa came out, but I thought it was maybe too cute to try it, and I was more into the Melira Zoo Scam. But then I saw Young Dingo playing a similar list with Evolution, and I didn't saw it. Someone showed me his list, so I thought, wow, if he trophied with that, then I should probably be playing my variant too. And I really like this one better because I think the Eldritch Evolution is much better utilized in this list. You can use it as soon as turn 4 for infinite combo kill. Revelier is just so good with Safi, and if you have Relier and Safi against some creature decks that don't play a lot of removal, they'll have a really hard time in dealing with those two because they can't die. You just block two creatures, sack Safi and Relier. Relier comes back, brings back Safi, and they're again on the field. So pretty annoying for the creature decks that don't play a lot of removals, so that those are all tribal decks and decks like Death and Texas. They play mostly just Solitude, stuff like that. And all tribal decks like Merfolk, Goblin, Humans, whatever. So all those types of decks and just aggro decks or some other decks playing a small amount of removal. These two guys can be really annoying and they're unkillable. So you just protect your Relier with Safi and really brings back Safi, so it's really good interaction. And I just really like the ability for to have this Falconrat one-off aristocrat in deck that just can combo off and kill your opponent at any point. It's really threatening, and your opponent has to be really careful about it, knowing that they can die always out of nowhere. But the thing is, this aristocrat was just so good by itself in this deck. Even when I didn't have a combo, it attacks for 4 in the air. When you have Scion of Drake on the field, it has first strike and lifelink, which is pretty crazy. So this deck is doing just a lot of powerful stuff, and I was able to outgrind. I was able to get Atraxa on the field against 4-color Omnat. Then they successfully bounced my Atraxa, but I got a lot of cards of the Atraxa, and I was able to play a lot of these Reliers, bringing back lands from the graveyard and replaying Atraxa from my hand, just doing some crazy stuff. This can outgrind anything. It can also combo kill quickly. It can put a trucks on the field super early, which is huge problem for a lot of decks, obviously. And it's not like you don't instantly lose to Atraxa, but it's very hard to beat it. So you get so much card advantage and a big 7/7 flying vigilance detach lifelink. So it's pretty hard. Also playing one Omnat. Omnat is a great tutor target for Eldritch Evolution, and we have a lot of these 2/3 mana creatures which we can sack against some matchups like Burn, Prowess, whatever, all the aggressive matchups, and just get Omnat. When you get Omnat on the field against those decks, winning just becomes a lot easier. So that's it. And let's. Okay, yes, I forgot the sideboard. Okay, so in this list we are playing Savai, Zagot Triumph with the usual mana base that we use in the uh, regular domain lists with Shova Brawler, but here playing 22 lands in the main, and so I have one more land here, so I added another fetch. I think Scalding Tarn is the best one-off option for 13 fetch. Okay, I have Bossages on the sideboard. No, not in the main because I really needed all slots available in the main because I really like having these one-offs tutor targets like Omnat, of course, and ability to play more of these combo pieces. So that's it. And on the sideboard, obviously, this mid-range decks always have problem against creativity. This one not that much really, but have a lot of outs against creativity anyway. But still, I think two Warwars are fine. Hidetsugu is great against the Hammer Time scales, that Shadow decks. Um, Boss Seiju, Force of Figure, just also very good against Tronica can be kind of tricky against it. Not really against this variant because we have ability to cheat Traxa in and combo kill later by finding the pieces we need with the Traxa. So the ability of combo kill and this Relier just makes this deck a bit better against Tron than usual variants. But still, three Bosages help there very much. Plus Ren and six, of course. Force of Vigor is just a great card for this kind of decks. Makes those Hammer time skills matchups affinity very easy. And Analysis Hearst as a two of graveyard hate pieces. I tried the Leyland the Void before, but then realized that Rakdos Chem matchup is really kind of good. So I thought maybe I like having hers better against those Breach and Murktide decks. I can play Rest in Peace because of Safi and Malira and Renan 6, but yeah, Leyland of the Void and hers are kind of probably best options. Okay, so that's it. I finished. I played two leagues with this. The last league was ended up a 4-1. Was pretty interesting. Only loss was Living End, which Living End opponent just had the real nuts. Okay, so I will start from the last game. I think these games were a lot more interesting. But we will watch everything, of course. Okay, playing against Hammer Time. I think I had a combo kill with Aristocrat in this game. Okay, I just decided to go for the Scion. I was playing first, so I was able to just start pressuring my opponent with Scion and just playing Renex 6 on turn 2. On turn 3, while paying tax for Esper Sentinel, I had Melira and Solitude Binding in hand. Very good hand, just pinging this Esper Sentinel. Attacking for 4 damage was pretty good. Okay, my opponent untaps, plays Paladin, plays 2 Topters, um, and tries to get the hammer. But I kill Paladin response, so that they don't get a draw card and they can't equip the hammer. Still attacking with the Sino Draco. I play my Aristocrat here, so attack for 8. It's pretty relevant that also Aristocrat has a lifelink and first strike here. So attacking for 8 damage each turn. My opponent needs to get mm, either Sigarda Zed or Piercer Paladin quickly. Okay, they make a large token. I play 2 of my guys. I shouldn't have played both. I should have played just one leave other in hand. Because but my opponent didn't play this. Didn't have solutions anyway, so I just attack with both. I found Solitude, so it would be better to leave one of these guys in hand. But it didn't matter because my opponent gained 2 life, but I just put the counter on the Aristocrat here and deal 9 damage, so that was the game. Okay, Aristocrat just won the match here. Game 2 had 2 Force of Figures, which is pretty good. Also Safi there. Cheat Solitude in play, so my opponent just definitely will have a very tough time beating this hand. I have a ability to scam Solitude in if needed. Also have a Force of Figure, so my opponent plays the Paladin here, so obviously they'll try to go for get mana and go for uh, Hammer immediately. Try to draw a card, so I just use the Force in response and disable their Springleaf Drum and just kill the Paladin on my turn. So my opponent also finds the Sigarda's 8, which was pretty good draw for my opponent, and I have the combo kill for the next turn. So I just need to draw a fetch or a white card to combo kill my opponent. Knew my opponent was going to try to go for the Nexus. kill, so I just sacrificed my Safi to bring back Aristocrat. So in this situation, if I draw a white card or a fetch, I can just pitch cast Solitude. Solitude dies, then Relier gets Revolt ability. A fetch would also work, of course. I just need a revolt. Then a revolt would bring back Safi, and then I get infinite loop with Aristocrat, Relier, and Safi, and deal infinite damage to my opponent. But unfortunately, didn't have the combo immediately. But I did find another force of figure, which was also great. So I just had to do this and attack with kill them fairly with Aristocrat. My opponent goes for Outfitter. I play my Solitude, kill the Outfitter, and attacking for a 7 next turn. Pretty good. Didn't have any more solutions for the moment. Did find Cabo, so I just attack with Solitude, leave Aristocrat back in case they find something, but they concede on their next turn. That was it. Okay, that were games win against Hammer Time. Let's see what was this. I had to mulligan this, also mulligan this. So started with 5 cards, but red and 6 can really make that card disadvantage a lot better. Okay, this was I was playing. This game was a pretty interesting game. Playing against opponent on playing Yeskai combo control. They're playing Kiki Jiki Restoration Angel, a combo with Wall of Omens and counter spells, Solitudes, Prismatic Endings, Restoration Angel, blinking those guys, and also Kiki Jiki for the combo win, but also value. So I just turn 3 I played the Kavu, leave back Binding, I have a run on the field, can be pretty good against these controllers decks. So they go for the prismatic ending, kill my Vren 6 and Solitude Pitchcast Solitude, exile my uh, um, Kavu. Pretty good for my opponent. I find another land and I draw into Aristocrat. Aristocrat, just a very good threat in this position, but my opponent has another counter spell. Unfortunately, so the combo kill is out of the question this game. They go for my opponent had a pretty good hand here, just playing iteration, finding another land, and I just had a bunch of just had the Reliers ramping me. Unfortunately, my opponent plays all the exile effects, no damage based spells, so I can't really use a Relier to bring back my territorial Cavu and yeah, other spells like my Vren 6 is exiled and Cavu is exiled, so can't get those back. So I just played another Relier, get a lot of lands on the field at least, so I don't draw into them or have less chance to drawing into them. My opponent goes for the Solitude. Pretty bad situation at this point. No creatures on the field. Did find Vren 6. Did find the Vren 6. Have a Leyland Binding in hand. At this point, I wasn't completely sure what my opponent is actually doing. Didn't see Kikijiki yet. So I decided to go for the Leyland Binding on Solitude. Don't want them gaining this life and stuff like that. But my opponent has a good hand, actually. Prismatic Ending plus Kiki-Jiki, pretty good. Being able to copy those Wall of Omens. But I also drew very well here. Immediately find removal for the Kiki-Jiki. So it was a fair fight. It was a fair fight, but my opponent was definitely in a better position. Just me being unable to get the damage through with these walls on the field, and them also drawing pretty well. I find the second Solitude, so I just attacked with my Solitude to gain some life in the process. No, I think I didn't even have any more fetchables, so I just leave my foothills in hand in case I draw another Relier. So I just play another Solitude and still can get the damage through because they still have two walls. Uh, yeah, prismatic. They go for prismatic ending, so no damage coming through still, and but at least the drawing, at least gaining some life is okay. My opponent didn't have nothing anything too, but they had a counter spell for my Scion and then Kiki-Jiki. Um, copying Wall of Omens to start drawing more cards. And I also had a very good draw here again, Lineland Binding for the Kiki-Jiki, but my opponent just had a better, so they immediately uh, find Restoration, and Restoration just won them next game, so that was it. They combo killed me this game with the Kiki-Jiki combo. Okay, so game 2. No early pressure, but I have a lot of good cards in hand. Just need to connect them. I just play my Melira turn 2. My opponent is playing counterspell, so definitely risky. Casting Evolution when they are not tapped. Okay, so my Melira got exiled, and I again find the Aristocrat. So I just gem Aristocrat, see if they have the counterspell. They did have it again. Yeah, so a very similar game to the last one, really. And but this time the counterspell on that was their only one. They didn't have one for the Fury. So if they had the counterspell, they would definitely use it here. Uh, they were unable to use the prismatic ending from their expressive iteration. Just bounce on Fury, so I just get to replay it. It's a still pretty good position for me. They just go for another wall, and finally I get to start attacking with the Fury. My opponent didn't have a counterspell two turns ago, so I just decided to go for the evolution in that situation because of them not having the counterspell, of course. So I find a land, find another evolution, Solitude, Sign of Draco. They bounce my Traxa to hand. It doesn't matter. I have everything I need for the next turn. Okay, I untap. Have a lot of options here. I go for the Scion first, get the counter spell. Mm, I play the Relier, get the fetch back. I just decide to pass the turn. My opponent doesn't have enough mana to combo off immediately, so I wasn't in a big hurry. My opponent, it still seemed like my opponent doesn't have much, just try to draw, find something with a wall, play another land. Feels like a good situation for me. Should have found Savage Gem in this situation. Then I decide to go for the Atraxa. I again find a lot of good cards here. So Evolution, Land, Wren, Fury. I go for the relay attack first, and my opponent blocks, so I decide to just pitch cast the Fury, kill their Teferi, kill one of the walls, and yeah, like trucks on the field, it's a 2-turn clock, they have to deal with it. So I go for the Wall of Omens, and I should have gone for Savage Ram last turn to have the planes available for me this time. This turn, if I wasn't able to actually cast the Leyland Binding, it was definitely a mistake, but I had a Solitude. Anyway, I didn't have a counterspell. If they had the counterspell, if they found it, it could be a costly mistake, but luckily they didn't, and it didn't matter. So I had multiple options here. I just decided to go for the evolution. I find Safi, attack with Atraxa. I sacrifice Safi on Atraxa. I sacrifice Atraxa again, get the Atraxa back. Repeat the ability. Again, find 4 very good cards, put those cards in the hand, and then find the Solitude. Kill the Kikijiki. Kill their Fable to disable their draw 2, and I kind of don't need anything else here. And yeah, it was a win in game 2, but I just had 3 minutes on the clock at this point. I was playing, I kind of, I don't know what happened to me. I thought this was a game 3, and I wasn't in a big hurry. I was FKing a lot, so I was able to kill them immediately with 2 runs, and then I realized I still have to play game 3. So I tried to do this as quickly as possible, and I succeeded to win in 2 minutes. Okay, but this was really me playing as fastest as possible is to play on the MTGO. Just very was trying to be very quick, and decided to take all the fastest ways to try to kill my opponent. So I decide go for the Safi. My opponent counters. They play Wall of Omens. I immediately decide to use this option of scamming the Fury and try to deal damage with my opponent with Fury as soon as possible. This is strategy often used by Ragdoll Scam, but they get 4/4 Fury on the field instead, which is definitely better, but it doesn't really matter against Solitude, so my opponent pitchcast the Solitude here, play Wall of Omens, and now, yeah, the Aristocrat is just so good, so very good card, attacking for 4 damage in the air, having the ability to make it indestructible, so I get the 4 damage through and start my clock. My opponent decides to pitchcast another Solitude to kill this Aristocrat. They were kind of hoping probably for that I run out of my time, so they just buying time here. They go for the iteration. I hoping for them to play another creature, so I just scam my Solitude in and continue attacking. And I find here the 5th land, so I can finally cast my Solitude. Pass the turn, see if they'll cast another creature. They go for the Archmage Charm, tap out, and I decide to put my Solitude on the field, hoping it can start attacking next turn. Okay, so they go for ending, which was fine. Still, Solitude in hand, Solitude in the field, attacking, pretty good. Pretty good position for me, as we have 1 minute left on the clock. It's a lot of time, really. If you're used to playing fast, it's a lot of time to finish this kind of game. My opponent has a Kiki-Jiki and just one card in hand at this point, so I go immediately for the second Solitude before they find the counter spell or something. And my opponent is now on 8 life, so I have a 2 turn clock. My opponent has to find something. I was also lucky to draw a third Solitude here, so I can just kill this Restoration before the block phase, and they didn't find another solution, so I have lethal next turn, and that was it. A pretty tense game it was to play in real time. Yeah, but won that with 30 seconds on the clock. Okay, had to mulligan this, have to mulligan this too, to the 5 cards, but to 5 pretty good cards, 2 cows, Leyland Binding. You can't really say anything about those 5 cards, pretty good ones. And yeah, I just also playing second, so not greatest. I was against a 4-color Omnat, I think, and I started with Kavu. I think my opponent had the Fairy, which was pretty good, best for them actually. So I just decided to replay my Kavu, not use the Leyland Binding on the Teferi, which already ticked down. Try to kill Teferi first with Kavu or something, but yeah, now after they getting rid of Kavu, I decided to go for the Leyland Binding. But they had another one, unfortunately, so just um, gets the ability again. I go for the Fury Scam to try to kill both Omnat and Teferi, but my opponent has the Solitude, so I didn't get my Omnat to get my Fury got exiled. Sorry. Um, I decided again not to use the binding immediately. This was remember that this was a mulligan to 5 for me. My opponent to find the Atraxa, they're also playing Atraxa. So just go for the Scion. Next turn, Leyland Binding, but it really doesn't matter that much because my opponent is able to hardcast the Atraxa next turn, finding a bunch of good cards, and having Risen Reef on the field means, yeah, that will be impossible to do anything here. So I just concede. That was game one, loss against Elementals, but successfully won next 2 games, and we'll now see how. Mulligan to 6 in the game 2, keeping a pretty good hand. We have a combo for turn 3 Atraxa, a Scion turn 2, turn 3 Evolution. On Scion, my opponent doesn't play counter spells, so they can't really stop it. I didn't find a land, so I decided to go for the Kavu first. So Kavu can loot, maybe help me find that land. My opponent just goes for the growth, and I did find the land, but not the one I need. I don't really need a Fury that much, so I just play the Scion, I play my fetch, keep the Leyland Binding if needed. Find the Temple Gardens, I'm able to cast my Evolution. My opponent plays the Leyland Binding, but they don't know we are playing the Evolution in our deck. So I just attack for 4 first, then cast the Evolution, find the Atraxa. I get 4 cards in my hand again, and this is pretty hard for my opponent to deal with. I play the Plains, save the Leyland Binding, hopefully to get my Kavu back. My opponent just finds Solitude and decides to get rid of Atraxa immediately. and that was good for me because I was able to just cast the Leyland Binding end of turn, get my Kavu back, my opponent on 10 life, so my opponent doesn't have too much options if this pass. But they have a boss age to again exile my Kavu, so just play the Vren, play the Melira, and play Scion of Draco. So have very close to lethal for the next turn. Currently on the field, they have to do something. Okay, they go for the Solitude. Sorry, not Solitude, but Omnat. I wanted to say Omnat. Yeah, they go Eldrami's Call, find Elishnorn. Yeah, but Elishnorn not going to help them much. I can do whatever I want on my next turn. So just attack with both. If they block with Ren, I'm fine by that because I can just ping Omnat with Ren and 6. I sack Safi on Scion, play Eldritch Evolution, get the Scion back, find the Fury, kill the Omnat, play my land, and have a lot of damage on the field to finish off my opponent who just found Elesh Norn, which doesn't do much in this situation. So it was a game over in game 2. So game 3. Game 3 definitely a bit trickier. I have decent hand. There is Omnat, Relier, Vren 6, Leyland Binding, Solitude, all great cards. So just play Vren 6 on turn 2, get back my fetch. My opponent goes for Leyland Binding, exile my Vren because they're Risen Reef deck and Vren is very good against them. So I just decided that it's best for me to just to go for the ramp here, find find a land and just play Relier. Relier can help beat with beat down, and but also ramping is very good here. I'm able to this way I'm able to cast the Leyland Binding, get back my Vren, ping the Risen Reef, and immediately cast the Omnat, draw a card, and get the ability from the fetch on turn 4, which is pretty good. I've accidentally found a wrong land. I needed a green source so I can cast my Relier or Safi. But yeah, small misplay there, not really that important, but it would be a bit better if I did it that way. So I just went for the Relier here again to deal 4 damage to my opponent with the third Omnat ability. So I had a lot of power here. My opponent goes for the Reef. They pitch cast the Fury as decide to Solitude in response to disable their ability, but they have had another Solitude, so they still got the ability. Exiled my Omnat, then I exiled their Risen Reef, and then they used. I returned my Solitude to the field, and then they resolved their Fury ability, killing 2 of my creatures. Still had 1 Relier on the field, the Brennan 6, my opponent on 7 life, so pretty good situation for me. I cycle my land, bring back fetch, play the Relier. Uh, Get back Safi, play the Scion of Draco, so again a lot of damage on the field for next turn, and my opponent won't be able to deal with all of this. So that was another win. That was another win. Okay, that was That was win number 3, and this is win number 4. I can't remember if I had the combo kill in this league, but I had since I played, I had 2 or 3 combo kills. I just can't remember if it was in this league or not. Uh, but the aristocrat combo was just really useful. Okay, this was Ragdos Grizzleband reanimator. I just decided to go for the solitude on the Asmo and play my Scion. Hope they don't have Gorio, but they did have it, so yeah, kind of immediately lost there. Didn't have any more chance to win that game. And next game I was a lot better after post board, having access to hers, also playing first, which is great with the territorial Cabo. My opponent discard my hers, and having Reliers is very good in these kind of situations where you can bring back your hers. So didn't find the land, so just cast my second Cabo to put some good pressure on the field. My opponent didn't have much but Totsis and the cookbook, so I find a land for the full domain, attack with both of my Cabos, put my opponent very, very low on life, decide to immediately binding the cookbook so they can't discard a Grizzle on their hand on their turn if they draw it, and that was game 2. Opponent didn't have a solution for the aggressive start, and game 2, yeah, for win number 4, my opponent starts again with Totsis on Solitude. There, put Profane Tutor on suspend. I cast my territorial Cabo. I was in a bit of dilemma here, either cast the Hearse or just play the Meddling Mage on the Profane Tutor. I thought if they have it, they will probably uh, already do it. So I just decided to go for the Meddling Mage, counter their Profane Tutor. And now I was able to go for the Hearse. I decided to play it before the attack in case they find it with the Neonate ability. So they did discard the Grizzlebrand, didn't find the Gorios. So play another land, play the Safi. And now I'm in a very good situation, have a lot of damage on the field. With unlicensed Hurst, this will be definitely a huge problem. Can also scam my Solitude in at a turning point. I decided to do it, kill both construct tokens, put another Solitude on the field, and with this Hearse on the field, I have just a very good security. My opponent is not going to be able to do a lot of stuff here, so I just go for the attacks again, do the loot ability with Cabo, discard the land, find the Solitude. Okay, so I have the Hearse and they can't really do anything. Have very close to lethal next turn, and they concede. That was it. Okay, and we will now watch the one loss in the league. This was the only loss in this league. It was against a Living End opponent, but Living End opponent just had the best possible hand, and it was just unbeatable. Although I had a very, very, very strong hand, maybe I could have played it different, but I don't think so. I think I played well. So I started with a Renin 6. Immediately suspected it was Living End, so I just didn't want to play anything important. So it's okay for me to. I have another rally. I just wanted to ramp here to had a Safi in hand and the evolution, which means if they don't find Charlotte or just do some cycling on their turn, I can go for the combo kill immediately. They didn't find it, but I played the Safi plus Relier here, and I had two evolutions in my hand. So to combo kill my opponent next turn, I should have blocked this guy first, but I thought I'm definitely killing my opponent next turn, so it doesn't matter. I just wanted to survive, so I go for it. I play Sexafi, my Eldritch Evolution, but they have one force, but that was okay. I have another evolution, so I get back Safi again, do the thing again, play another evolution, try to get my combo on the field, but they have another force, unfortunately. My opponent just had the nuts this game, just done everything so good, and my opponent, even after this, even after having two forces, I was still good. I was able to scam my Solitude in and kill both of their creatures, so they're left just with one stripped Riverbinder. And they cycle a lot of these cyclers. So my draws were just very bad. I drew into land, into another land, and that really concluded this game. Didn't have any chance after that. So my opponent went for another outburst to kill me, to secure the kill on their turn, and that was it. Okay, that was game one. Just opponent had a very, very, very good hand, a much better hand than Living End usually has. So I had to mulligan to 5, but they had a decent 5. Kavu on the play, can exile some creature cards from their graveyard, plus 2 solitudes. You can always pitch cast Solitude in response to their Living End. They come back, exiling their creatures, so it's a pretty good card. No hers for me, unfortunately, and but it was okay. It was okay position, not the greatest, but also not unwinnable. So unfortunately, my opponent had the Sky Turtle. It was pretty bad for me here, not being able to attack with Cabo. Definitely bad. And I played my Cabo. My opponent again decides to go immediately for the agent, and I'm kind of okay with it because I have two solitudes. So I'll go for it, and my opponent has the subtlety for first one, but still, I'm okay because I can cast my second Solitude, exile their subtlety so it doesn't come back. Then my Solitude comes back as exile their Shardless agent. And then I'm not in a great situation, but maybe in a situation where I still can find something to get out of this not great situation. But yeah, Leyland Binding of the top, I will be able to maybe deal with their creatures, stuff like that. So it wasn't a great situation, but my opponent even had another subtlety, so I immediately conceded that was it. Very, very good draws for my living end opponent. I couldn't do a lot there. And they didn't draw into my hate. Meddling mages are great against them. Unlicensed Hearse, maybe I should have mulliganed even more to 4 cards. Try to find some hate. And that's it. So the list is we didn't see a combo kill, but I had two combo kills, but I was probably mistaken. It was in a previous league. I once killed the Hammer Time opponent by comboing. Hammer Time is monk easiest to combo kill because you can mostly get to the mid game with your solitudes, bindings, furies, whatever, and then it's not too hard to get to. Also, having Grelier and stuff is really good against them. You can just infinitely block whatever they're attacking with that doesn't have trample, and it's hard for them to get rid of these. And at the moment, when you find the aristocrat or eldritch, it's a combo kill. So I definitely done those, but I guess it just didn't have it in this league. I would be happy to show, but I just don't remember which of the games exactly was it now. I don't wanna find search it right now. So that was it. I think potential of being able to win with this combo in a lot of situations was very good. The deck is pretty crazy. I really much enjoyed it. My overall score with it was 7-3, so one league went to 3-2, one league went to 4-1, but all of these losses were my opponent just had the nuts, and it was really hard to beat those draws from the opponents. But overall power level also felt very fine. I'm not sure now why I didn't try this before. It seemed like on a first look like maybe too cute, and I was enjoying the Melira Zoo scam at the moment. But this strategy is also just as same powerful as Melira Zuscam, and it's doing similar things while having this access to this combo kill, which is very threatening. And this aristocrat was just so good by itself in a lot of situations where I draw it. Just incredibly hard to get rid of it if you're playing just damage based removals. Uh, Also, being able to sacrifice a creature at any time, giving him indestructible, was also relevant in the previous league. I did two combo kills in two matches. One after another, and it looked pretty cool. Really liked it, and didn't have the combo kill in this league, but had in a lot of situations potential to combo kill, but then drew into something even better or some card I needed to uh, cast at the moment to survive the turn or whatever. So didn't execute it, but had the ability to do it in a few situations, and it felt pretty good to have those. And yeah, that's it. Atraxa is a pretty good target for this list. To be playing Eldritch Evolution as a sorcery, lot of creatures. Scion of Draco is artifact. Leyland Binding is a very good enchantment to find. Ren 6, a great Planeswalker, and so lot of targets here, and the Atraxa just does the job very well. I think it's just deck is working pretty good, and it's a mid-range deck with this very solid uh, mid-game strategy, and but also can be really aggressive, as you could see in some situations, just scamming Fury on turn 2 or Solitude aggressively, then attacking with the Territorial Cabals or finding Atraxa on turn 3 of your Eldritch Evolution and Sign of Draco. So have a lot of these busted starts that are really hard to deal with, and still have access all this time for the immediate combo kill with Aristocrat, which is just so good by itself in the deck. And once you assemble the Relier Safi, it's really hard to get rid of those twos on the field. So chances of drawing into your third piece or finding it with Eldritch Evolution is really not that bad, and it kind of happens um, in consistently in every other league. You get the chance to try to kill your opponent, but it depends on how much interaction opponent has. And that's it. I really like the list. It's very, very crazy fun. One of the funnest actually I played. Didn't even I think I even had more fun than the last Melira Zoos came with this list. Just the Renegade Reliers and the Extraction Specialist, especially Reliers. Extraction Specialist not so much, but Reliers were just spectacular, being able to bring back Brennan 6, Kavu, land also just it was so good to bring back land in a lot of situations. I would rather use land than anything else really. Just ramping you into hard casting the Solitudes and Furies is so good. Also into Omnat, and but also just when you need a lot of mana and you have a lot of cards in hand, it's very good. Also, card casting Atraxa in this deck, it's very, very realistic. So maybe I could even play two of them. It's not greatest to have in a starting hand. Luckily, you can always pitch it to Solitude, but I think maybe one is just the best option here. Having this one of Omnat just also felt very good. A lot of situations where I played against Burn, being able to get it into play, turn earlier, immediately gain life, ended the game very quickly. So, yeah, that's it. I hope you like the deck. I hope you like the video. If you want to help the channel, click like, click subscribe, and that's it for today. Okay, goodbye.